If there's one thing that e-commerce brands and Google Ads gurus mess up on, it is Performance Max campaigns. I've spent over $10 million on Performance Max campaigns within Google Ads in my career, and I've developed a very reliable step-by-step blueprint for setting these campaigns up and allowing them to generate some incredible results. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. Make sure to stick around to the end so you get every single one of the tips that I'm going to drop for you here. Now, my name is George. I run a paid search marketing agency called ClickSpring Advertising. We're spending over $500,000 per month on just Google Ads alone, and I'm going to jump straight in. Just a quick one though, if you are interested in having us set up and run your Performance Max campaigns and your Google Ads for you, then there's a link below to book a quick chat with myself. If you don't want to do that, no worries. I'm going to be giving all the value away on this channel, so make sure to subscribe and stick around. So you can see a Performance Max campaign here. This is a campaign we've been running for quite a while for a client here. We're spending $900 per day on this campaign. And in the last 7 days, we've spent $4,000 and we've made $36,000 back. So that's about a 9x return on ad spend, okay? So this is a very successful Performance Max campaign. And this kind of goes to show what you can achieve with the right data, okay? So the right product feed, the right conversion tracking, set up all of these things, and also how far you can scale it up as well, okay? So Performance Max campaigns are very scalable. The reason why is because they're basically all of Google Ads campaigns rolled into one. So you've got search, shopping ads, display ads, video ads, discovery ads, all in one campaign type. So there's a lot of different eyeballs to go and get. There's a lot of inventory and there's a lot of opportunities for you to sell to your customers and scale up, okay? This is by no means the tip of the iceberg. There are many more successful Performance Max campaigns than this, but this kind of does go to show what you can achieve. And this is just one of a few that we're running in this account, okay? Now, you're obviously not going to be getting 9x ROAS out the gate, probably not at least, but if you do have a higher AOV, average order value of your products, as I said, great data, then these results are absolutely achievable, okay? So let's jump in and show you exactly how we set these campaigns up. So I'm going to come here and select a new campaign. And the first thing I'm going to be greeted with is campaign objective, okay? So campaign objective is important. It's gonna basically allow Google to guide you through the right options for you. So it's gonna give you the sort of most useful campaigns that you should run for your specific objective, the most useful bid strategies for you to use, et cetera. So if you want the most flexibility, then I suggest creating a campaign without goals guidance. But if you are using Performance Max for its main purpose, which is to sell products, sorry, lead gen guys, this isn't a lead gen Performance Max guide here. So this is really just for if you're selling products, so basically e-commerce, which in my opinion is what Performance Max is built for, then of course you're going to be using sales anyway. So we would just advise you to select sales and also make sure that your conversion actions are in here, right? So your purchase conversion actions, which is basically going to be obviously your purchase, your sales, but also your add to carts, things like that nature, okay? Make sure they're set up properly. Enhanced conversion tracking is enabled. Again, that's kind of a topic for another day, but very important that you look into that. And then once that's all done, we can go ahead and click continue. Cool, so then we're going to be able to select a Performance Max campaign, and then we're also going to be able to obviously select our Google Merchant Center. Make sure you have Google Merchant Center linked in your linked accounts up here in tools and settings. And obviously this Google Merchant Center, if you don't know, is where you store all of your product data, okay? So product titles, descriptions, attributes, all of these things. That's going to contribute to so much of your success inside of Performance Max. That's your product feed, basically. That's where that lives. So make sure you've spent time optimizing that. Make sure you have maxed out your product titles. You've got converting search terms in both your titles and your descriptions. You've got very accurate product attributes, everything like, base unit price, all of these kind of things as well. That's going to give Google a lot of data, color, sex, all these kind of things, all right? And then next is campaign name. So I can't tell you how many times I've looked inside of a Google Ads account and it's just a mess. There's 20, 30 different campaigns. It's not obvious which, what all these campaigns are doing. So make sure you have a reliable and consistent naming convention. So for us, we're going to go with the campaign name. We're going to go with what the campaign is targeting. Okay, so in this example, we're going to be targeting some cakes. You can obviously get more specific than that. And if you're running multiple PMax campaigns, it's very important that you do get more specific than that. We're going to go for the country, which is the United States, and we're going to go for the bid strategy as well, which is max conversion value, okay? So very simple, just 4 things. That's going to give you a wealth of information, and it's going to make sure that your campaigns are, at a glance, really organized, okay? So let's jump in and set up the campaign. Cool, so the first thing you're going to be greeted with here is the bidding and the bid strategies, okay? So there's 2 main ones you can choose from, conversion value and maximize conversions. Now the main difference here and the main contributing factor to your decision is the price of your product, okay? So if you have a one product store or all your products are the same price, then you don't really care about maximizing the conversion value because the value is all the same. You just want to get as many sales as possible. So maximize conversions is going to be your best bet in that situation. But if you are like most e-commerce brands and you have a range of different product prices, then conversion value is going to be your best bet, okay? Because Google's then going to bid for customers it believes will spend more. That could be potentially because they have a higher household income, they're from rich countries, richer parts of the country, whatever it is, or they have a history of spending more, whatever it is, then it's going to bid higher for those customers. So you have a higher average order value, that's going to contribute to a higher ROAS, okay? So typically we're going to run with maximize conversion value, but whatever you select, make sure you don't set a target off the bat. Reason why is because we want to gather up as much data as we can. We don't want to restrict the campaign. So if we were to set a target return on ad spend of 200%, then Google would bid for customers that it believes it can convert at 200% ROAS, okay? But again, that's very restrictive. We want to gather as much data as possible. We would recommend running it on a maximized strategy without target for about 30 days, then looking back at that period and then setting a target based on those 30 days. That's going to be what works best, okay? And then secondly, optimize campaigns for acquiring new customers. So typically we're not using this. There's two reasons why you might want to use this. If you are running a multiple PMAX strategy where you've got one that's focused more on the whole funnel, then potentially it might make sense to run one that's focused on acquiring new customers if that is a goal of your business. And secondly, if you are just focused on cold customers as a whole, that's your main goal of Google Ads, then of course using this is wise. But what we would recommend instead really is using standard shopping, okay? Because you really can't force Performance Max to just be a cold campaign. You know, you have very little control of it when compared to something like a standard shopping campaign. So we would really recommend you just run the latter in that situation. So typically we're not selecting this, okay? Next, we're going to go into campaign settings. So for this campaign, we're going to use United States. We're going to make sure we're on English. And then this is a really important setting here. So automatically created assets, okay? So two things here, text assets and final URL. So text assets is pretty simple. Performance Max is going to crawl your page, your website. As I mentioned, it's a search campaign, but it's not any search campaign. It's a dynamic search campaign. So Google's going to crawl your URL. It's going to find bits of ad copy on your website, and it's going to create assets from that, okay? This can be a great setting if you want to have a bit of flexibility in your ad copy, generate higher volume of ad copy. But if you are in a sensitive market, so you're like selling medicine, for example, you're selling something like that, then I would recommend you turn this off, because otherwise it might, create ad copy that gets you flagged, and that's not a good thing, okay? So you can turn this off and on, it's up to you. But what is really important is your final URL settings, okay? So as I mentioned, Google's going to crawl your website, and it's going to look at all your URLs. And so if you have this setting on, then Google is actually going to direct traffic to the most relevant URL based on the search query. So whatever the customer's typed in the search bar. This can be really good. It can lead to more conversions. But if you're running kind of a restricted PMAX campaign, so you want this PMAX campaign to only target a specific set of your cakes, like chocolate cakes, and then one for your lemon cakes or something like that, that can lead to your data kind of getting merged, because it will send, some to chocolate and some to lemon, and it can be a bit of a mess. So it depends on what kind of PMAX campaign you're running. If you're running one that's targeting kind of most of your products or all of your products, then it can be good to have that setting turned on. What I would recommend, of course, is that you exclude irrelevant URLs, okay? So make sure you exclude your About Us page, your FAQ page, your Contact Us page, and any landing pages of specific products you don't want to send traffic to. So make sure you always jump into that setting. Then in more settings here, really the most important one is brand exclusions. Basically, you're going to have the option to exclude your brand from PMAX. I recommend doing this if you have a lot of data in your ad account, okay? But if you're really just getting started, then those brand conversions can actually be really useful for the PMAX campaign to learn quicker. So I would say leave this alone if you're just getting started. But if you are kind of a veteran of Google Ads, okay, you're spending quite a lot, you know what you want, then definitely exclude your brand. Just make sure you're running a branded shopping campaign to your brand name, just to collect those extra conversions. So whenever someone searches up your brand, you'll still have the product titles that show up at the top, because that will lead to more revenue, okay? So yeah, PMAX is going to do that for you. So if you're running your brand in PMAX, you don't have to do that. But yeah, just make sure to do that if you're not. All right, let's jump into asset groups. So what are asset groups? So asset groups are very similar to ad groups. They basically house your Performance Max assets. Now, of course, for search campaigns, you've just got ad copy. Performance Max, you've got ad copy, you've got images, you've got videos, you've got a bunch of different assets that's going to contribute to your asset groups, okay? So that's why they're called asset groups. Best practice, in my opinion, is to separate asset groups based on your sub-product category. So if you're running Performance Max campaign for your cakes, say you run a bakery, an online bakery, then you're going to want to segment that campaign with asset groups based on those sub-product categories. So an asset group for your chocolate cakes, an asset group for your lemon cakes, etc. Why? It's because you can actually then tailor the assets in those asset groups to be more relevant. So you only include ad copy for chocolate cakes and images for chocolate cakes and videos for chocolate cakes in that respective ad group, if you see what I mean. So yeah, it just leads to more relevant asset, and it's going to lead to better results that way, all right? So let's just say this is a chocolate cake asset group. Okay, and then you're going to have the listing group here. So the listing group is the products that are in that asset group, right? So we would want to then jump in and go by item ID, right? So you have a few options here. You've got item ID, you've got categories, etc. Item ID is going to allow you to select individual products. So we'd want to jump into item ID and select our individual chocolate cakes that we want to be targeting, okay? Then we're going to have our final URL, so where we're actually sending this traffic to. Okay, we're gonna have images, we're gonna have logos, we're gonna have videos, we're gonna have ad copy, we're gonna have long headlines, descriptions. There's a lot that goes into this, all right? And so what I might actually do is just in the description include an ad copy template for PMax that's really helped me out because there's a lot to kind of prepare, okay? So make sure you have lots of images and lots of videos if you do wanna run PMax. Now videos aren't necessary, you will have to add some images, but videos aren't necessary. But what Google will do is basically create kind of like a slideshow of your images and put that on YouTube and actually serve that as a video ad. So we do recommend you run some video to kind of avoid that, and it will lead to better results. So I'm not going to walk you through exactly the images and videos that I will add here. Just make sure that you're adding images with different aspect ratios, so square, landscape, things like that, just to give Google a bit of variety. And obviously make sure they are good images as well, okay? Don't have text all over them. Really, we want to just be showing the product in, you know, nice lighting, nice environments, etc. So yeah, that's pretty much it, okay? Now, as I said, for the ad copy, you've got the option of adding in up to 15 headlines, up to 5 long headlines, and up to 4 descriptions, I believe. Okay, so make sure you draft those beforehand. So obviously the most useful thing to do, and then add them all in here. You can actually have view ideas if you have a bit of data in your account, and Google's actually going to be able to help you create ad copy, which is really, really useful. Then make sure your business name is in there as it is. And also finally site links as well. This is just going to increase CTR, which is click-through rate. It's going to allow you to take up a bit more real estate on the search engine results page. So I recommend you add those in as well. Okay, there's a bunch of different ones, call outs, in-text ones. There's a bunch of different stuff. So yeah, just add those that are relevant. Price extensions as well are really useful if you're running specific sales. Yeah, there's a bunch. And then call to action. So this is going to be on automated by default. We recommend putting this on Shop Now always, because that's really the CTA that we're here for. We want people to shop and buy our products. And then yeah, you've got a bunch of different assets here as well. Price, I mentioned, promotions, these are all kind of extensions as well, okay? And then yeah, next is, so there's also some UTMs here as well. If you want to put in some UTM data to track clicks, that's very advanced though. You really don't have to do that. And then yeah, next is your targeting, okay? So signals. So here we have 2 things. We've got search themes, which are brand new, and then we've got audience signals, okay? So search themes are essentially, they're very similar to keywords, right? So for example, if you're selling chocolate cakes in this asset group, then very simply, you're going to be wanting to put in chocolate cake, you're going to be wanting to put in birthday chocolate cake, all of the things that are relevant to what people will be searching when, you know, looking for your products, okay? They're kind of like broad match keywords, so they're going to go quite wide, but put in as many as you can. Would be very useful as well if you do have data in your Google Ads account to look at your search term history and see which have been the best and have converted the most. That's going to allow you to, yeah, get the best results there. All right, so add in as many search themes as possible. It's very, very simple. There's nothing to be scared of here. Just put in whatever customers are going to be searching for, and then you've got your audience signal. All right. So this is simple. You're going to be able to create an audience here. And what's going to happen is basically you've got your custom segment. So you're going to be able to create a custom segment where you can add in things like competitor URLs, etc. Or at least that used to be what was the case back when search themes didn't exist. Now it's just search themes and a few other things. So it's your data. So if you want to add in remarketing segments, so website visitors, product viewers, abandoned carts, etc., you can do that here. I recommend you do that. Kind of treat Performance Max as a full funnel campaign and allow it to actually remarket to some of these customers. So definitely add in sort of 3 to 5 your data segments if you have those available to you. And then you can add in specific interests and detailed demographics. Okay, so in-market segments, etc. This has changed quite a lot from what it was in 2021. This is the major change that we're going to be seeing in 2024 is the search themes versus the audience signal. What I would say is definitely add in-market segments. These tend to perform the best. Things like life events and affinities are very broad. We don't really use those. So add in-market segments, which basically means that, you know, the customer is actually in the market for your product. And then if you do have specific demographic exclusions you want to make, then you can do that here as well. Cool. Very simply, you're going to want to save that audience when you create it so that you can use it in future campaigns. And you want to go ahead and click next here, okay? And finally, you're going to be prompted to select a budget, okay? So as I said, Google and Performance Max specifically, it's basically all of Google's campaigns rolled into one, which means there's a lot of things going on. So you've got to make sure that you give Performance Max the budget to go out, grab those eyeballs from all those different channels and be able to bring you significant enough data for then, the campaign to optimize towards that and find your ideal customer. So we like to say a minimum is $100 a day, okay, for a Performance Max campaign, which does sound like quite a lot. If you don't have that budget, we really recommend you just run standard shopping instead and, search campaigns, etc. We do recommend you run it on $100 a day. Again, you really just want to base it on what your average order value is and what your CPAs have been in the past. So your cost per acquisitions have been maybe on Facebook, on any Google ads you've run in the past. But the higher AOV that you have, the higher budget you should give it, because it's going to require more spend to actually convert that customer. But if you've just got a $40, $50, $60 product, something like $100 a day is going to be absolutely fine for you. So that is everything for this video. I really hope you have enjoyed this one. It's been a pleasure to film. If you are interested in working with us, having us set up the Performance Max campaigns, optimize them for success, and run your whole paid search media, we can absolutely do that for you. There's a link in the description to book a one-on-one call with me, and we can see if you are a good fit. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, comment, and like so you see similar videos to this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.